we're not at that maturity level yet where it's like an open communication channel for understanding how the game works. It's more like you do your thing over there, I'll do my thing over here, and I'll see you at the finals.
Yes,
I'll
yes,
see you in the
yes,
World Warrior. I'll see,
yes.
and and
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first episode of Talkin' with T. I'm your host, Christopher Tatarian, and I'm excited to have you guys here. This is a project that I've been thinking about for quite some time, and I felt like there wasn't something similar to this within the FGC, and specifically within the Street Fighter community. And I wanted to, start this project. And I want to first of all shout out the other people within the community that do have podcasts as well, like Yipes and Chris Matrix. They have their own podcast as well, and some other people. You should definitely check them out. I wanted to start this project for several reasons, and the very first reason why I wanted to start this project was because everybody has told me throughout my entire life that I need to do radio. I need to be in podcasts. I need to do something with voice acting. And so this was a route that was always on my mind, just a side hobby that I wanted to get into. And I wanted to put my voice finally out there and see what happens from it. So that's one of the main reasons as to why I wanted to start this. But the other reasons as to why I wanted to start this podcast was because I genuinely wanted to provide space for professional players. And again, I want to specify here, strictly Street Fighter players as of now. I wanted to provide them with a space, the professional players, where they can express their thoughts without facing ridicule, without facing the harsh reality of what Twitter has become, where they get quote retweeted and nasty responses. Now, there's always trolls within the communities, and that's not the main issue here, because once you get to a certain age, you start understanding how to deal with trolls. But it's more so of the people who feel the need to chime in on every single topic that is being discussed by professionals and use that platform to bash that person's image. I've seen this happen to me for many years, and I've seen this happen to a lot of players. If not every top player has faced this problem. And the reason why it's a problem is because we don't care about what a lot of these people have to say. But our image gets tarnished in the process. And that's huge because everything we do is governed by the social media, and specifically on Twitter. So whenever we want to have some sort of discussion, it's always seemed to be had on Twitter. And I felt like that is not the platform to have intellectual discourse. And we need intellectual discourse when discussing tier lists, character matchups, strengths and weaknesses of characters, general likes and dislikes about the game, concerns we have as professionals. We should be able to have a space where we can talk about these things and our voices heard. So that is one of the other reasons as to why I wanted to start this podcast. So some of it, if not most of it, will be Street Fighter related, community related. But eventually I do want to branch out into other topics as well, depending on how this project ends up doing. On this show, I want players to fully express their thoughts, knowing that logic and the pursuit of becoming a better player is the goal. Now that is my goal, and that is typically the goal of any professional player or a player that is within that top 1% Street Fighter players. Anyway, as I was saying, part of this show, the reason why I wanted to create this podcast was to provide professional players with the ability to express their thoughts in the pursuit of logic and becoming a better player. And someone that stood out to me over Twitter that was trying his best to be able to have intelligent discourse amongst professional players and even non-professional players was Ryan Hart. And it made me want to reach out to him because if you guys have not seen Ryan's videos before, this man speaks very eloquently and is able to express fighting game terminology in such a perfect way in order for the non-pro to understand what's going on, and even for the professional player to be able to become better through the wisdom that he has. So Ryan, let me introduce you guys to him real quick. This man has won so many tournaments, you can't even count them anymore. He's in the Guinness World Record book. He is a fighting game legend, has been winning fighting game tournaments before I was even born. And he set so many world records. He's from the UK, and he's a very good friend of mine now after competing against each other for over 10 years. So Ryan, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. If you want to give us a little bit of information about like yourself and your, the successes that you've had, go right ahead.
Started doing this. Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of them long journeys where you sort of started out with something that was just a bit of fun, a little bit of a passion, played locally with friends in the neighborhood and that, Friday night around the sofa, get the guys
Yeah,
around,
of
play
course.
Street Fighter or whatever. It wasn't even Street Fighter when I was coming up. Before that, it was like IK Plus. Anyone who's over 40 will know what game I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? IK Plus, International Karate Plus. That's one of the first fighting game experiences I ever had, and it was on PC. It was on PC, and back in that time, Amstrad, CPC 464, or Amiga 500, Spectrum, like what I'm saying,
You're listening the whole
that we was playing on, and then tournaments didn't really start happening until the 90s. I've been playing since the 80s, Street Fighter 1 and that. I've been playing since them times. So that then Street Fighter 1 came out, which was more of like a one-player game, beat the computer type thing.
Yeah.
Then Street Fighter 2 is when it really got competitive in it, where people wanted to beat each other, and all the arcades had Street Fighter 2 as like the flagship product. You'd go there and you'd see hordes of people crowding around the Street Fighter 2 cabinet. You didn't even need to see the screen. You just heard Sonic Boom, you heard
Yeah,
that.
that's kind of
You
like...
just knew they're playing Street Fighter. And just by the numbers, So that was a very attractive scene for me. I wanted to be a part of that. I wasn't very good, but I'm like, right, what if I could win against these guys? And you start training, you start getting better, and you get beat bad, and these guys ain't helping you, no tips, nothing, just murking you off the machine, back of the queue, son. You know what I'm saying? You have to hold the L's.
Yes, absolutely.
So, but because we came from an era where you have to hold the L's, the maturity and growth was a lot more exponential, innit? Like you came up solid. By the time you were a pro player, you were a solid rock, like mentally. Because that cutthroat environment, you weren't able to survive. And because it was so brutal, you didn't stick around unless you wanted it bad enough, because it wasn't worth your time. The licks were so severe that I might as well do something more fun. Like, this is just not even enjoyable. So you had less time wasters in the community back then, because one, you had to pay for it credit by credit. You couldn't just be... I mean, don't get me wrong. You had people that came for socializing and that came a bit more later.
Of course.
In the beginning times, it was just either you're in or you're out. Are you going to play this thing? Are you doing it or are you not? And because of that nature of it, it produced stronger champions. Just people with, when I say stronger champions, just people with more intestinal fortitude, people that know what they want. Like one of the biggest waste of times in an endeavor is when you don't even know why you're doing it. You don't know if you really want to do it. You're not sure why you're doing it. Because how do you deal with loss? Willpower. But if you don't understand what direction that will's channeling towards, how are you meant to focus? So a lot of the times you can be in something you don't even realize it's not for you. You might be all right at that thing. There's a lot of misunderstanding as well. Sometimes people misunderstand that being good at something means you're meant to do it. Sometimes it's not your thing. You could be good at multiple things, but sometimes your will is not going to commit fully to something.
Absolutely.
And those things take time to develop as well, innit? But anyway, back to the intro.
Yeah.
So that's how I started. Street Fighter, the early 90s. I have been doing this since before it was cool.
Of course.
I've been laughed out the door for introducing the idea that you could get paid to play games. Companies will be like, you joking? Man, get back into uni, get back into college, and they start laughing at you.
Right.
But look at today, people do people do this. People do this for a living. People feed families and that. People put themselves through education with this money.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's a real thing now. There's a lot behind it. So I'm happy to say that I'm one of the guys that paved the way for this to become a reality. One of the founders of the FGC from way back before we even had a name for it. And yeah, happy to be here. Thank you for having me on your show.
Bro, no, of course. That was beautiful. That was really dope to hear how it started off. And, I've heard plenty of stories like this from Watson and Valle and all the OG players as well. So hearing it from the UK perspective as well is also, it's also a trip. I wonder how it was like in Japan as well. Because I know you actually went to Japan rather early, but, the very early scene in Japanese fucking cigarette smoking, like who knows what was going on. But yeah, I'm glad to have you, man. Like, we've known each other for quite some time. We've always got along really well. And, when we had the conversation previously about providing a space and where intelligent discourse is held, I just really loved how we were fighting that, back and forth. It was really good ideas that we were kind of put. So there was some things that I wanted to actually talk about. It's the first episode. I was kind of getting into it a little bit earlier, but having you here now can also help with this discussion. So, one of the things that I was talking about was, if I'm in the pursuit of a craft, and let's say I am in the pursuit of becoming a professional basketball player, I would, as a mediocre basketball player, pay attention to players like LeBron James and Kobe and all these players that were monumental, that have won championships. And I would ask them questions like, oh man, like if I had the Twitter platform and I was able to actually have direct contact with the professional players, I would be bugging them like crazy. Yo, like how do you do this move? How do you get better at shooting threes, et cetera, et cetera. That's from the mediocre player's perspective. I would seek knowledge from the pros. I would seek knowledge from the top 1%. Well, what we see typically happen within the Street Fighter community and in this era is the mediocre players who have not won anything choose to ridicule and butt heads with those who have succeeded and continue to succeed. And I never understood why. Why is there a culture of that, and how?
Because
how is
the
that
fighting game community is still very immature.
You understand what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah. So what it is the fighting game community is still very young. It's still a very immature community, and we haven't been going that long. Like the professional circuit of fighting game players. I mean, we've been around just as I introed, but it's not been a long time that people have understood that this is a thing. This is a real thing.
Right.
So you get a mixture of people, and social media, it's that place that allows for any type of voice, right? So because everyone has instant access to you, you do get a mixture of larger resounding voices that don't know what they're talking about, because that makes up the majority. The majority of fighting game players that are good are a very small minority, right?
Absolutely.
So you only end up with a few voices that are coming in with the defensive tools of knowing how to talk about it, express the right vernacular, talk about games in a way where people can actually respect what's being said, that know what they're talking about. Not everyone that's very skilled on the game can articulate it either. So just because people talk a certain way on social media doesn't mean that, like it's a mixture, because some people know the game but can't talk about it, and some people can't deliver what they know but they know what they're talking about. So there's always that mixture, right? But
I love that. Yeah, that was very well said.
Yeah, so the issue is we don't really have that background where people respect what gaming is. Gaming has come in with a lot of stigma attached to it. It's like a lazy, overweight man that lives in his basement, and he doesn't go outside, and he doesn't have a social life. He's never been to school. His mom cooks him home cooked dinners every day. He doesn't do anything for himself. Like, that's what people think gaming is. Or the Call of Duty boyfriend. He never does any help. He never helps me around the house. He just sits on the couch with his headset on all day, talking to his whatever friends.
And yells at them.
So there's a lot of negative energy around gaming, especially gaming in long periods of time. The only time people want to hear about gaming is when there's money attached. Oh, you won 3 million the Fortnite tournament. Oh, well done, congratulations. Yeah. But when it comes to expression around games, like why it's intellectual, why it's smart, why you need to be good at crunching numbers for frame data, like all that stuff. that's when people are a bit, huh? What are you talking about? You know, and so we're still trying to tie the knot in the understanding for the general layman about what we're doing here. See, so that's why when you get onto Twitter and start talking about matchup charts and that, it's a bit geeky for a lot of people. They don't really know how to digest that. Who are these guys talking? Oh, whatever, more nonsense. Da da da.
Right.
It don't matter what character is higher than another character on a tier list. That don't matter.
Right. So
Are you
that's
winning?
actually
Like,
that's
yeah,
a great
are you
point
winning?
right
First
there.
of all,
So
are you winning? If
right.
you're not winning, then what does it matter where the character is?
It doesn't matter.
So yeah,
exactly.
we need to dial it down a bit on that sort of tier list discussion kind of thing.
And you know that's a great segue into, you know, one of the main things that we wanted to talk about on this first episode was, so the current discourse on X. Player makes a post about 1, 2, or 3. Okay, the first is either a tier list, the second is either matchups, or the third is issues with formatting within the circuit, such as, man, I don't like the 2 out of 3, I would prefer 3 out of 5. Oh, I don't like the rules for CPT this, or etc., etc. So typically you see those types of tweets from professional players when they're trying to be serious. And that's very important that I say that, when they are trying to be serious, not some trolley post, when they're trying to be serious. And typically what happens is ridicule, and the image of that player is bashed on X. There's quote retweets. There's people making fun of them. There's a lot of likes and retweets. It's just a cesspool of people that want to circle jerk themselves. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's just, it's so distasteful, because as a 28-year-old man, my mind is still developing and I'm seeking wisdom. How can you be a grown-ass man and speak the way that some of these men speak? How can you be a grown-ass person and try to, like, it just doesn't make any sense to me how their brains does not lead them to the path of wisdom. And so it instead leads them to a path of making fun of players and or damaging their image because their views don't align, etc., etc. It's such a weird, dramatic cesspool. And if you notice, Ryan, it's an everyday thing now. It's every single day someone is quote retweeting, someone is getting likes and retweets, memes are being posted under every post. It's an everyday thing. And then I feel bad for the professional players who are actually going back and forth and having this discourse with these other people who don't want to talk. They do not want to have an intellectual conversation. Twitter isn't designed for that because of the amount of characters that you can use, and nobody has the attention span to read your thoughts. So this is why I wanted to, you know, mention this, like that. I'm sick of that happening where the players are met with ridicule. I wanted to have this so that we can actually talk about matchups and tier lists. Like, why do you think this character beats this character? What about the tools? Let's talk about the tools in comparison, the frame data. Give me your feelings. How do you feel? I know what the paper says, but how do you feel? And I want that player to be able to be like, you know what, Chris, man, fuck this matchup. Like, I'm so sick of this. Like, this is what's bothering me. You know, I feel like Luke is weaker than Ken, or whatever it may be. You know, so given that, what you just mentioned about why are you putting a tier list? Why are you putting a matchup chart if you're not winning? And if you are winning, what do we hope to accomplish? In my goal, I'm putting a tier list and or a matchup chart in order to showcase these are the matchups I find difficult as Ken. What can I do to get better?
Sure.
So, you know, give me your thoughts on that. Like, what do you think? How should this discourse be happening?
Is, you know, yeah, no, for sure. So what I'd say first of all is, you know, the idea of using Twitter as a platform or Discord or any of these places is you want to whittle down the numbers, right? You want to make the place that you're engaging in only having your output emitted to a smaller number of people. Yeah, I mean, if you go to a restaurant, you know, if you go to a restaurant for a dinner or whatever, that restaurant might have 50 different things on the menu. You're only there for one dish. You're there for one dish. You order only your dish, and when your dish is ready, only your dish comes to the table. 50 dishes don't arrive. 50 dishes are available, but you only want what you want. So you kind of cordon off the section of the restaurant that is useful for you. And in the same way, on like a Twitter or whatever, all you do is you have groups. You know, it's an age-old thing. We've been doing that since the beginning of social media. you have little groups, and you have in your groups you'll have the 20 or 30 guys you want to have discourse with, and that's your group. And you don't do no public tweets about, hey guys, what do you think of, because you're not talking to everybody. Only a certain amount of people speak your language anyway, because this is indeed a language, this whole thing.
It is.
Yeah, so you need to have the interaction reduced to just the people that you want to talk to, so that you get very fruitful feedback in a short period of time. And then the speed of the discourse increases, because you're not now kind of filtering through all the nonsense to get to like the 1% of goodness.
Yes.
And so, yeah, and then all of you as a group grow together. But because people are too still into their whole, well, there's the Capcom Pro Tour, and I don't want this person to know how I think or what my strategy is, or people are not doing the group thing properly. But normally, ideally, you should have every top player in a group where you can access each other and talk about general things, like general discussion. 5 top Ken players talking with 5 top Chun players, and then breaking the matchup down. Like, where are the pros and cons for each character? But people don't want to do that ultimately, because they will feel like they will have to unlock weaknesses that they will then feel that will hurt them when they have to play other Ken players, for example. So we're not at that maturity level yet where it's like an open communication channel for understanding how the game works. It's more like, you do your thing over there, I'll do my thing over here, and I'll see you at the finals. I'll see you in the World Warrior. I'll see, and and for some of that, I understand. It's professional entity. It does pay to have a few tricks up your sleeve that the other one isn't prepared for. Sure, but I think that the best level that can be achieved is sort of more in the direction of how the Japanese view things, where they all help each other.
And
they
I was
all
going to
play
say
together.
that, yes.
They all get strong together, and it's a unit. It's very much moving forward as a unit, and that you need more of that mentality going on in the West, I feel.
No, so yeah, my experience in Japan has shown me that as soon as I didn't know what the fuck was going on in the match, that Japanese player gets up from his chair, comes over to me, and is like, "This is what you do. This pattern," And I'm like, "Thanks, bro. You don't even speak my fucking language, and you just came over here and just broke it down to me in the language of Street Fighter that I'm gonna understand."
Oh, that's so sick, man.
And that was that was so mind-blowing to me. And Fujimura was one of the first players to do that. MOV, Momochi, all these players. I'm like, man, this is so optimal. This is why they play like robots. They are so in tune with the calculations, because they're ready for everything. They've discussed everything within the matchup. So I agree. I just wish that go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's just on the tip of my tongue, but the quality of games have gotten easier. So now people that weren't even able to touch these guys before are now able to do okay, or be on par, or even win sometimes. Take like a MOV, or like a Haitani or someone, and play those guys on Street Fighter 6 or Street Fighter 5. You might do all right. You might even win. But play either of those on Street Fighter 3 and you'll get cooked.
Done.
It will be 20-0. Like,
3.
People don't understand the difference in the actual levels of the guy. It's not that the guy is good, but you've improved and now you're on the level. No, the game has given you access to him because the game is easier now. And you can tell it's easier now by how many good players there are. Like, everyone's good now.
Yes.
That says everything. Why isn't there a limited playing field to who gets good? Why does everyone get to get good? Because the game's easy. Third Strike, you weren't seeing hordes of people get good because the game was mad hard.
Yeah, it was.
Mad hard. Like, you had to put all your time in, then you might, you know what I'm saying?
Just to interrupt you real quickly, I
Go ahead.
first experienced Third Strike with oh god, it starts with a K. Koji, I believe his name
Kuroda.
is. Who?
Did you play Kuroda? Oh, no. Kokujin. You mean Kokujin? The W.
No. He's an American player. He's one of the best Ken players in America. God, his
Ken
name's
players, one of the
yeah,
best Ken players in
yes,
America.
North American Ken player. But any one, I'll remember his name
K.
eventually. Yeah, it starts with a K. Kyokuji, I believe his name was. It was one of the first ones that I had played,
Okay,
and
okay.
he destroyed me 100-0, 100-0.
Yeah.
And
Game is serious.
I'm like, oh, I'm a Ken player. I know how to fight Ken. And then I'm like, this guy is seeing the atoms in my movement and when I want to press a button, and it just felt so discouraging. Now for someone like me,
yeah.
I have the drive to, man, I don't care how hard this is, I want to be better. I want to be better. But but for a lot of players, if you get smoked 100-0, that is and in the fashion that I got smoked, it destroys your belief in I could be a pro one day. It just demolishes it. And a great example of that is Justin Wong as well. He's every time I've played him, it's always been a very very uncomfortable experience. I'll tell you that. But keep going.
So what I'm saying is, there's one consistent. Yeah, when you see certain games come out, there'll be a consistent. Yeah, like so a Street Fighter game comes out, Daigo always top level. Any Street Fighter game. You know what I'm saying? Like Tokido, always top level. There's consistencies with the people that have that kind of longevity, yeah? But there's some inconsistencies. Like, you'll see Street Fighter 4, a guy will be top tier. Street Fighter 5 comes out, the guy's nowhere to be found. Street Fighter 4 comes out, guy's not good. Street Fighter 5 comes out, guy's really good, yeah. Yeah, what's going on? What if you, as a player, if you excel as a player, that should come through anyway. Whether you're playing King of Fighters, Street Fighter. And I know that certain systems appeal to different styles of player. I get that. That's cool. But yeah, you can always tell the games that cater more to accommodating more numbers, or games that are really challenging in a way where there's an elite few. Street Fighter 4 was harder than 5, but it wasn't as hard as 3.
Correct.
And even though technically it was more, like, even though technically it offered more, it wasn't as skill-based as 3. 3 had minimal room. See, what happens with a lot of bare bones games is you take away room for error. It's like there's times on Street Fighter 4 where I didn't really know what he was going to do. So I did wake up, focus, backdash, and I got out of about 20 different options.
Right.
Because I backdash really quickly, he couldn't throw me. He did a low, it parries that. He does a mid, it parries that. He does an overhead, it backdashes out of the second hit. The backdash has got invul. Mad escapes. Just doing one move. 2 buttons backdash. I escaped about 20 different options. What's he meant to do? Right. Couldn't jump in on me, couldn't fireball me. Like, it's nonsense. That's the whole point of having a psychological edge, is that you are able to predict what he's going to do with minimal functionality. Oof. I've just got wake up, block, press button, reversal, super, parry. Third strike had only a few things, but it was deep. One little tidbit for third strike. Did you know, that tech rolling was a big deal on third strike? It wasn't just tech roll, you're out. There was a choice to make when you were knocked down. The choice when your opponent has Oki was big. So if you don't tech roll, if I sweep you, throw you, whatever, if you don't tech roll, you can wake up with a reversal, DP, super, whatever, yeah? If you decide to tech roll, yes, you change the timing of your opponent's Oki necessities, but you cannot reversal. You have to take the pressure.
Wow.
If they do meaty combos, you can't reversal. If you do DP, you get hit. So tech roll or not tech roll was a deep decision that you had to make on the spot. It was a really complicated decision. Like, do I want to have the option? Do I want to have access to my reversal DP? Or am I confident enough that I can read him here? Get up quicker, read him, get back into the flow of the game. Yeah, so it's not like now where everything just means anything. You can just tech roll, not tech roll. All the get up timings are the same. There's no mind game. It wasn't basic like that.
Right.
In fact, it's almost like games have regressed. That's even more basic than Street Fighter 2. So, yeah, it's like we're technically regressing. It looks more fancy. The graphics are more developed. Everything's crystal clear. But if you go into the depths of the mind games, in some areas, we've gone backwards, not forwards. So, yeah, just tech rolling was a very complicated and intense decision, in-depth decision that you had to make, you know?
Well, that's
Yeah,
insane.
I mean, yeah, that whole psychology there. Like, imagine you're playing a guy that always tech rolls, and you get conditioned into knowing, like, okay, yeah, I can always meet him, I can always do, and then he doesn't tech roll. Now you don't know what the hell he's gonna do. You know what I'm saying? I've had matches where I want access to a certain tactic. So this guy's throw teching is not that good. Okay, watch. When it's for the game, I'm not gonna tech roll because I haven't tech rolled. He's gonna think, he wants access to wake up DP. He wants access to this.
Right.
I did wake up throw for the set. The one time I didn't tech roll, I did wake up throw, and he died.
Wow.
Because he was ready for everything. He was ready for like wake up. That, you know, he was ready for, because he knew I had more options on wake up now.
Mm-hmm.
So he was more tense on defense. Bro, I did wake up throw. It was for the set. I won the set. Wake up throw, dead.
Yeah.
So I'm just explaining to you that there's more psychology on that game. See, this is why people don't understand. They look at third strike and say, why does everyone like this game? The parry system's terrible. It's not even about the parries. Parries are a big part of it, but it's the technical stuff involved that you don't see.
Yeah.
See, when you watch a guy play that, you don't realize that in this situation, he can't even do the things you think he might be able. You think he can do wake up super? He can't do wake up super. He can't do wake. He has to guess. That guess was really clever. But you won't understand that if you go by the logic based on what games are out today.
I see.
The games that are out today don't have those depths. So you won't see it when you go back to old games. The old games will just look really basic and primitive. But there's a lot more going on psychologically on those games than on the games today. So it's very, very interesting.
So, you know, to go off of that, when you talk about depth, now I want to bring up a Street Fighter 6 specific question here. Because to me, this has a lot of depth, but maybe I'm not understanding it in the way that your brain is processing it. And let me provide you with the example here. Let's say, as Ken, I do my low forward drive rush, crouch fierce combo extender into Tatsu for the corner. I have my opponent in the corner, and I'm at plus frames advantage. My options here on offense are, option A would be to throw them as a meaty. Option B would be to meaty them with a button. Option C would be to delay button to bait out an EXDP. Or option D would be to shimmy. I'm just going to keep it to 4 options for now. Okay, I'm not going to go into the jumping on their wake up or any of that kind of stuff. I'm just going to keep it 4 options to keep it simple.
Okay.
Now, that inherently provides me with multiple options. But on offense, it makes me very scared to commit to any of those options, which is really confusing to me because my opponent on defense has certain options. And let's go over those options. Option A is to wake up perfect parry. Option B is to wake up EXDP. Option C is to backdash, or option D is to tech. So here, and I'm going to exclude super on wake up and etc. etc. But those 4 options alone, I have to consider while I have my 4 options. Does that not inherently provide a certain level of depth, but it's an uncomfortable depth? I'm not feeling advantageous, even though I hit you. How do you break that situation down? Like, is that not depth when you think about it?
There is the direction of depth in what you said, but in only what you said, there was no depth. So all I heard was,
let's break that
I could
down.
put my shirt on, I could put my jeans on, I could put my hat on, or I could put my sneakers on. I got 4 options. Bro, you got nowhere to go. Where you going? You put one foot outside the door, it's cold, snowing. It's like, why do I want to go out in this weather? The problem with everything you just said is there's no plan. Why are you going to throw him? Why are you going to meet you? What are you doing? The overall game plan is what dictates what your options are, not a random guess on a whim. A random guess on a whim is going to let you allow the opponent into your head. What's the plan here? Are you trying to rush him down? Are you trying to dry him out on defense? Like, what's the overall game plan? There needs to be an overarching theme to your gameplay. What's the plan here? It can't just be, I want to win. I'm just going to desperately get something. There has to be like an overall plan to what the the strategy is. It's all about strategy. 90% of the match is cerebral. None of the rest of that matters. Are fancy combos, if it corner carries, all that doesn't matter. What are you trying to do? What is the goal here? What are you trying to accomplish? And because people don't have a plan, it's easy to throw a spanner in the works against 95% of the players because they don't really know what they're just doing what they're told.
Right.
They're just doing what's done. They're doing what the last guy that plays their character does. They're not doing anything different. So it's about understanding what your opponent's options are, what your options are, in order to create a plan. When you have the plan, you know what your options are because you've got an idea of where you need to go. It's like you get in the car, put the keys in. Where you going, bro?
Well,
You're dressed, everything. What you doing? You need to know why you're getting in the car. Where you going? What's the plan? So I think that those options become a lot more transparent when you know what the game plan is.
Okay, so let's say no, that was let's say as a Ken player, I'm going up against Kyle, who is a very big pain in the ass of Ken player. Been a big pain in the ass many years. So the goal of the Ken player, corner Guile, and to take advantage of the situation and be aggressive. Ken is almost forced to be aggressive against Guile when he eventually gets the hit because you do not want to reach neutral. So given that mindset of, okay, I as the Ken player, I want to rush you down when I do get that Tatsu and I do put you in the corner. But from your perspective on the other side of the table, you know that I have to rush you down. So now, because I have to rush you down, and you know that I have to rush you down, the decision making just becomes so scary to me still. Because if I meaty throw and then Guile just decides to do a flash kick, I gotta restart that mountain climb back in. If I meaty throw and then it actually works, then I feel a little bit of confidence. But now I'm scared about the next option. Yeah, I just threw.
To be honest, I have the feeling that once you tell yourself, I have to do X, I feel like because you're cornering yourself options wise, you're cornering yourself. You're telling yourself, I don't have X as an option. He didn't even need to condition you. You conditioned yourself. So if I'm the Guile guy, I'm doing wake up flash kick because I know that you think you have to. So once someone believes that there's no other alternative, they're no longer thinking freely. That's an easy pickings opponent. They're not thinking out you need to think, he knows that you feel pressured into offense. So there's another game plan for you. And depending on the length of the set, I mean, in this kind of conundrum, it matters if you're playing best of 3, first to 10, all these things matter as well, because then you've got the length of time to kind of look at what he's presenting you with. But yeah, make no mistake, Guile players recognize that the Ken player feels forced now into the scenario. So they will play on that. So I think it's about, look, fighting games are about selling. You're selling. You're a salesman. You're like a door-to-door salesman trying to make them buy the latest kitchen cleaning appliances or
that was my first job. That was my first job. I was a knife salesman at 17 years old.
There you go. And you need to convince them that they need these knives.
Yes.
You better whip out the Ginzu Hope Man like sushi. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's one of them ones where there's a way that you can make someone believe they need something. So like on Street Fighter, you have to be very convincing in making them think that you think you need to attack and then you don't need to attack, or vice versa. But whatever you want them to do, you have to be very good at convincing them this is what's happening when it's not what's happening at all. It's actually something completely different. So being able to be a convincing salesman is what produces control on a fighting game.
Well, we're gonna have to
control someone.
We're gonna have to do some episodes where we actually go into the game and provide some examples. But I really like the theory behind that, and I guess a question. Let's just continue this conversation.
Go ahead.
How, I often find myself overcomplicating the round, and you know how you show your respect to an opponent. Because you know that they're a strong player. You can't just jump roundhouse and just sweep them. You have to play very, very strong neutral. Now, during that neutral, it's very tense. And sometimes because of the plethora of options that players have in neutral. For example, fireball, drive rush, drive impact, crouching medium kick, crouching medium punch from Luke and JP. Jumping, that's 6 options right there. Dashing, that's 7 options right there. Because of all these options in neutral, it feels like there's an overload inside of my brain. There is like a mouse that's running on the wheel, and that mouse is sweating his ass off because he's like, how many thoughts am I supposed to be putting in here all at once? There's so much to worry about. So in turn, it turns out to overcomplicating certain situations and making it simple to take off some of that mental load. What are your thoughts about that? Have you found yourself in those types of situations, and how can you simplify the equation to in order to do the thing that you are strategizing towards, in order to accomplish that goal? Because it's very hard to break out of that cycle, and this happens to very strong players. It can happen to very weak players as well, but I've seen this happen a lot within strong players, including myself, where we know what we're supposed to do, but it's just difficult to do it.
So I think one potential problem is that there's a lot of focus on having something for everything. And this comes from the mentality of playing something like Street Fighter 5 very heavily, or in even some cases Street Fighter 4 very heavily, where you had you could call lockdown scenarios, where
Yes,
this sequence beats everything he can do right now. This sequence controls everything. He can't do anything except what I allow him right now. And there's a lot of that on those games. And because of that, we've become accustomed to not needing to think or not needing to execute a specific strategy in that way, where it can be slightly more open-ended because the game does present options for your opponent as well. Where you used to, okay, it's this matchup, this character can't do anything. Okay, it's this situation, this character can't do anything. Okay, my meter's like this, now he can't do anything. Now, the whole point of a parry mechanic is to always give you access to an option. That's the whole point of that. Whether it means that having a parry means you can now throw them, for example, you have an option. So they use the drive gauge so that there's a bigger risk to just relying on parry, because you can have a situation in the round where parry isn't an option that you can utilize. You have no drive meter, you can't parry, you can't drive rush, you can't use all the tools that that give you access to your opponent. And so there's now another psychology in the game. What do you do in burnout, or what do you do when he's in burnout, etc.
right.
So what I would say though is it comes back to the original thing I mentioned earlier, where you have a plan. Even more so now than ever, you have a plan. You need a plan, because your opponent is harder to lock down on this game. Wake
Yes,
up, one perfect
absolutely.
parry, back throw, now you're in the corner.
Yes.
It's harder to lock the opponent down. So now more than ever, you need a plan. You need a game plan so that you know why you're going for things when you go for them, and you're prepared for the outcome no matter which outcome happens. You've already considered, you've thought ahead, 2, 3, 4 moves ahead. So whatever happens, you're ready that, okay, he could do this. If he does this, what does the scenario now introduce? Where are we at now? What's the meter situation? What's the gauge like? What's the time on the clock? Where am I on the screen? Like, all these things need to be calculated before you allow that situation to happen. So, for example, you do the meaty knowing that the back throw will put you in a situation, but it won't put you in critical condition. So stuff like that,
I see.
Or sometimes if I know that the guy's got a tendency for drive impacts, I let him back throw me because I know what's coming. And then I get the counter and I get the combo and I get the kill. And I take away a strategy from him. You need to delete strategies from players. You can't just give them every tool and expect to win. Of course, they're going to surprise you with something. You wonder why you get counter hit there. You wonder why they get the random jump in. You got to eliminate options from players. You got to show them through the gameplay that that's not accessible. And that's another subject, but I'm saying this is all connected to creating, devising, and executing a plan.
Okay. I see. And see, from my perspective, my head has always been on the route of adapt to what your opponent is doing, especially in the 2 out of 3. And I want to get into the 2 out of 3 to the first of 3 discussion at some point before we close, because I think that's very, very important. But when it comes to the defensive decisions that I've made, ones that I continue to make, people, especially very strong players, have pointed out that I like to do EXDP. And in my head, I do EXDP. Typically, you have your frustrated, get the fuck off of me EXDPs. But then you also have those EXDPs where it's like, man, like, I don't know when to EXDP, but I'm going to just throw that EXDP right now. And it 9 times out of 10 doesn't work out for me. So my defensive decision making has always been, and even my offensive decision making has been a cycle. It's been, okay, spin the wheel. Okay, it now landed on perfect parry. Okay, next time, spin the wheel. Oh, okay. When I did perfect parry, though, he decided to throw me. Okay, so now perfect parry is kind of scary to do, but at the same time, what if he thinks because he threw me, he's going to try to meaty me, so maybe perfect parry here can actually work. So my brain thinks like that as the wheel is spinning after he just threw me. Within milliseconds, my brain is able to understand that situation, which is what I feel like separates, the consistent strong players from those that, strong.
Yeah.
Ability to adapt on the fly like that and to make that decision. But it always seems like a spin wheel. I don't want that. I want to be able to have a specific strategy, a foundation in my decision making, and be okay with the result, because that just allows me to learn from it, especially against that player. Maybe that specific strategy did not work against Ryan Hart, but it might work against Valmaster. You get what I'm saying? I want, and I want to be able to formulate that strategy. I'm just not sure how. I don't know how. And something that Fudo told me. Oh, by the way, the reason why I mentioned adaptability, Ryan, is because that's the biggest advice that Mike Watson told me, was your reactions and your adaptability. Your ability to adapt to your opponent is the most important thing, and then comes your reactions. Because without those two, you're cooked. So that advice from him I took very seriously. And something that Fudo had told me in 2018 was, make sure, and I had written this down actually in the journal, but it was, make sure that you cover every single option, every detail that your opponent's character can do, and every detail that your character can do. You need to have 100%, I've covered this, I've covered that. And if it ain't that, then you need to go back to the lab. And I can honestly say that I haven't done that. Who does that? Unless you're a Japanese robot, right? And that's how typically the Japanese, they study every interaction, they study every situation. So it's so difficult for me to be able to apply that. I don't know how I'm supposed to formulate this. And how do you, and this actually leads perfectly into character matchups. So like, how exactly do you break down those types of, how exactly do you formulate that type of strategy?
So in the same way as you kind of assimilate what is necessary to win a 2 out of 3, it's also the same thing that you use to create a strategy. And a lot of that comes off of experience, I mean, think about like an experienced martial artist on the street that's about to get into an altercation. He doesn't have, because, just against the argument that, well, 2 out of 3, it's too quick, I can't adapt. But let's say a martial artist on the street, he's squaring up with someone and it's about to kick off, right? It's about to be an altercation.
A real street fighting.
He's not planning. No, this is real life. Like you say, on the street. Yeah.
Right.
So he's not planning he's not basing his plan of assault based on what that guy did in another fight. He doesn't know him. It's just a random idiot on the street. He is basing all of what he is about to do on experience. How does he react when the guy shoulder twitches, or when he clenches his fist, or when he's making a certain kind of eye contact, when he raises his voice a certain type of way.
I see.
If his foot positioning is if he's standing a certain way, is his groin open, like whatever, what I'm saying? Like there's strategy already out the gate before anything's happened, before anything even kicks off. So I think that in the same way, it's not that it's 2 out of 3. You can already start creating strategy because you're an experienced player, and that experience counts for a lot. Okay. You understand what a certain situation means. And so you can kind of create a situation where you've got options for yourself. you can put that situation in your favor. So yeah, I think that it's a question of confidence as well. You need confidence to get to that point, right? And I think you need to understand what the situations are. If you don't understand what the situations are, which is back to Fudo's point, you can't create a strategy because you're essentially just trying to fill a paper bag that's got holes in it with water. A lot of the strategy you make is not going to be accessible because of the gaps. So
Correct.
I think that it's about, yes, filling the holes, understanding where you need more knowledge, and trying to, and this is why watching people that play your character in matchups you struggle in is useful, because how do they deal with this situation? What do they problem solve with? What do they do here?
Of course.
And so yeah, that can be a useful thing. But ultimately, over a period of time, we're still in the first year. Yeah, we don't have to freak
But
out.
wait,
Yet.
you were saying this the real life street fighting example, the martial artist. You said something that caught my attention, because I did want to talk about the 2 out of 3 and the 3 out of 5.
Yeah, so
you said he doesn't have he doesn't have a 2 out of 3.
Has never met that guy before. The martial artist on the street has never met. He has no idea of how this guy fights. If he likes to go for windy haymakers, or is he going to go for a headbutt? Does he push first? He has no idea who this guy is.
Yeah.
He only has the cues that he's given from this guy. Like, is he clenching his fist? Is he making strong eye contact? Is he raising his voice? Is he standing a certain type of way? Are his feet close together? Are they crossed? Are they in fighting? Is one foot forward? Is he close to you, a bit far? And all of these things. You have no idea if he's going to go for a right hook. Is he going to grab you for a headbutt? Like, I'm just giving examples.
Yeah, there's
on the street. You have no idea what this guy's going for. But the martial artist has fighting experience. So he's going to go off of that experience and create a game plan for himself. He's not going to say, well, I've got no experience, I'm just going to let this guy do what he wants. No, you use your experience to create a game plan out the gate. So he's got this, and this, and I can use this, and this. He could do this, and this. I've got that, and that. So you're ready for the situations, and you're ready to initiate. You know how to initiate. You know how to intercept him. You know how to counter him, and you know how to win. And so you've got to use that package of information to create a game plan. So you have to think about his options and think about what beats his potential options. And then that's already the beginning of a game plan. That's a strategy. Okay. And so this is what helps build confidence as well, because when you do that and you execute it and it works, you're like, oh, so this is what works. This is how I can get in someone's head. This is how I can win.
Yes.
This is how I can get back the match into my favor, etc. And that works very well in a short set. Having a strong strategy out the gate works very well in a short set.
1 second, I'm writing this down wrong. No, it's
I knew I'd make you get the pen and pad out.
Well, I feel like it looked aesthetically nice to also have a pen and pad, considering.
Of course, yeah.
Strong strategy from the gate. But
class is in session.
It always is, man. We're always learning.
Always learning, man.
And this is what I mean, like I'm one to try to approach the situation as humbly as I can, and from a student's perspective, even teachers are students. So
we're all learning, man. We're all learning. I mean, you're probably a lot better than me at Street Fighter 6. I'm still trying to come up. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, but take it back 20 years and it would be a different story as well. So the difference is I'm not afraid to admit that I have taken advantage. I've taken advantage of the fact that these games have been easier because of my limited time to be able to play. Because these games are easier, it's allowed me to flourish. And so real recognize real, I'm not going to go over here and tell some, you know what I mean. But anyway, so and here's left. That's perfect. That's fine. So let's just focus on this part real quick, because I think this is really important. The martial artist, Ryan, he has one mistake. Actually, he has 0 mistakes that he's allowed to make. One mistake can cost him his life.
Exactly.
So he doesn't have.
Which is why the whole 2 out of 3 thing. I mean, you're lucky you get the time to get hit more than once and recover.
Correct.
On a fighting game, on the streets, you could be on the ground in seconds. And so
absolutely
you don't. But martial arts has more strategy than anything anything, you know? So we can't say that 2 out of 3 is not enough. We need more games, because if you can prepare for a 1 second incident on the street, you can prepare for a 2 out of 3.
I love that. Okay, that's very important, because I'm a big advocate of 3 out of 5. I'm a very big advocate of it because of, man, it just feels so uncomfortable.
I think you need 3 out of 5.
Okay, now
because on the street, people are not throwing fireballs and dragon punches.
Okay, all right. So let's break that down then. Okay, so given that you, because I know that you practice martial arts, given that you are a martial artist and you cannot make a single mistake in the street because you will die from it, how do you approach this 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5? Why do you personally think that we 3 out of 5? If I may, before you go, I believe that because of the opportunities that we're being presented with the money that's on the line, with the sponsors and tournaments and all of that, that a 2 out of 3 is just way too short. I believe in an ideal world, Ryan, it should be a 1st to 5, in my opinion. In an ideal world, because if you look at other video games like Call of Duty and whatnot, they have so many rounds in between for tournament play. Like a team plays another team and they play so many different maps against each other, and then the victor is decided. But in fighting game community, we're only allowed a 2 out of 3. And I don't think people understand how volatile it is to your psyche to travel to a tournament, spend thousands of dollars, have this dream, and then go there and lose to an Armika in Street Fighter V. So I never liked the 2 out of 3. I felt like the games have developed in a way to where 2 out of 3 no longer displays who the better player is. And a 1st to 3 at least provides the better player with more time to adapt. Now, what you said about the martial arts thing was very interesting to me, because that makes me kind of be like, well, do I just suck and I just have to adapt faster than the 2 out of 3? So I would like to hear your thoughts on it. You said you're an advocate for 1st to 3 as well.
So the thing with best of 3 and best of 5, 1st to 3. So, back when I was coming up, if you went to Japan for a global event, it was one game, bro. Best of 1.
Wow.
And if you lost that best of 1, there was no double elim bracket. You were sent to the shadow realm for a whole year.
Oh.
You had to train up, come back the next year. One game, bro. 2 rounds. Okay? Now, while I'm not going to sit here and say that was a good system, it was tense. It was pretty intense, like it was like, whoa, it was really hardcore, man. One game, right? But anyway, what I wanted to say is, first of all, before you decide a rule setting, you have to identify what you're basing the rule setting necessities on. Who is that for? Is that for you? Me? Is that for the TOs so they can get home early? Is that for the crowd because best of 5 is boring? Like, who are we setting these rules for? Because based on who these rules are for, we know what rules we need. As a player, you need best of 5. That's not even debatable. There ain't no pro players out here saying we need best 1st to 2.
There isn't. And why, though?
Every pro player says we need 1st to 3 games at least.
Yes.
I don't know many pros that really want to do 1st to 2.
I don't know any.
The only time I hear 1st to 2 is when it's a TO talking.
Correct.
Or when it's a community member saying 1st to 3 is too long, like a stream monster saying 1st to 3 is too long.
Oh my God, it's so annoying.
Players know what's up. And the reason you need 1st to 3 potentially is because the best parts of the game are drawn out over a period of time. You don't get that instantly. The best parts of the game come through with longevity. So strategy needs time to be played out. It needs time to come through, especially in a game where you can't really see everything that's going on. You can't see the depths of the psychology all the time. Sometimes having a 1st to 3 allows the viewers to see, oh, that's what he understood. He's reading there.
Yes.
The problem that we have today is we have very impatient people with no attention span. They cannot stay focused for a long enough period of time. And the reason that's an issue is because now we start catering. Oh, we need the viewership. Oh, we need the sponsors. Oh, we need this, that. All these external factors that are not really how you're supposed to decide strategic decisions for the game. You're not really meant to be basing it on that. You know, I mean, Counter-Strike is 16 rounds. Counter-Strike is 16 rounds. One map.
It's 16 rounds.
The maps are best of 3, and one map is over an hour long. And that's best of 3. And they got to run it all the way back. The other team ties it up. A set between 2 CS teams can be 4 hours plus. And grand finals, bro, Counter-Strike, at a serious Counter-Strike tournament, grand finals is a whole day. That's just like, the match is like 7-something hours with break and everything. It's like 11, 12 hours.
Wow.
One day, just Sunday, that's what they call it, grand final Sunday. It's one map. It's one match between 2 teams. And it's best of 5.
Yeah, which is
best of 5 maps.
It's funny you saying that.
Go on YouTube and load up Grand Finals Counter-Strike IEM. Load up a random IEM Counter-Strike Grand Final. That shit will be like 7 hours of gameplay and like 4 hours with the break, with the intermission, everything will be like 11 hours with like the desk segments and that. Yeah, it goes on. It's a whole day. So fighting game TOs can't tell me there's not enough time. If every other TO for all these other games is able to make time, dude, we can make time.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
Call of Duty, Dota, League of Legends, CS2 now, you know, Trackmania, FIFA. There's a plethora of games. They make time for their stuff. We need to make time. It's not that there's no time. You just didn't put the time in the schedule.
Correct.
If the organizers organizing the event, they could make the time. Yes, you have to rent the staff for a bit longer. Yes, you have to hire the venue for longer. Yes, it's going to cost more money. But if that's what it takes to create a polished, perfect product that the fans, you know, viewers and players love, then isn't it worth it? You know, if you need a bit more budget for that, I don't know, you know, get another sponsor involved or whatever. But like sometimes, especially in this online environment, why are we not doing first to threes? Like, you don't even have to hire a venue now. It's everyone's at home. You could have a longer tournament now.
Right.
You know? Okay, you might have to hire the Discord star for a bit longer or whatever. The guy who runs the bracket has to stay a bit longer. But, you know, first to 3 is a quality product. Now, the other problem, that this is like a personal issue that I have, is I don't like the idea that first to 3 is too long. Bro,
it's not long at all. Yeah, I don't.
If you're passionate about a game,
yes.
Why are you getting bored?
Yes.
Like, if you're not into the game, fine. But we shouldn't be basing the rules around you then. Correct. If you're not even passionate enough to enjoy the game for 3 matches or 5 matches, you're in the wrong field.
Yeah.
I could watch a sport I love forever. You know, if it's a game that I'm really into, I'm not bored after 2 matches. Are you crazy?
Not at all.
These people are just not into it. How are you? You can't say you're into it and can't watch 3 games. That's not for me. That's not the definition of into something.
Not at all.
You should love what's going on. This is the problem with today's trend of everyone just trying to jump on the wave of every fighting game. Dude, not every game is meant to be for you or me or this guy or that person. Yeah, not every game is for everybody. And this is the thing. People have lost the way to find their own groove in the gaming scene. Like, which game is for me? Which game do I want to watch? Which game do I love to watch? It might not even be the fight. They might realize that they love other genres of game more than fighting games, you know? But you can't come and say 2 games is enough. It's boring after
and it's so...
If you're bored, you're not in the right place.
And Ryan, it's so frustrating because it's so vindicative in how these people make fun of us for saying first to 3. You know, even just saying the words first to 5 could have gotten clipped and just be like, oh, look, these people are advocating for first to 5, these bloody idiots, you know?
Crazy, man.
Yeah, we're fucking crazy for putting all of our energy into this craft to become who we are. We have given so much of our life and our energy to be one of the best players in the world. And all we're saying is 1 extra game or possibly 2 when all these other gamers are getting that from their respective fields. But for us, it's not possible. And then people will approach us saying, please, first to 3. And we're saying that's the bare minimum, right? And they'll be like, well, Chris, you don't seem to give a fuck about the TOs, you fucking scumbag piece of shit. How fucking dare you say this about the TOs? Don't you realize the TOs this and the TOs that? When none of us are disrespecting TOs. None of us. None of us are disrespecting the sponsors. We're grateful that there's sponsors, but there is a better way to do this because it's been proven already through CS and League of Legends, etc., etc. I would pay any amount of money to watch soccer all day. You know what? I love soccer. It's my favorite sport. Or watch, professional basketball. There's a game 7. Game 7 is hype for a fucking reason in the playoffs, especially when it's the finals. Imagine if it was just one game. Now, football is a little bit harder to do that, but football is an outlier because there's tackling, bodies break down.
The matches are 90 minutes. One game is 90 minutes.
Yes, but for us, it can be over in 57 seconds. The entire set.
I understand that TOs have a complicated job. I understand that it's not easy. I've run tournaments myself. I know it's really hard work, okay?
It is.
But I do not like the idea that we need to get it over with as quickly as possible. We got to rush through. This mentality doesn't fit for me.
It doesn't.
It's got to be out the way as fast as possible. Why are you even running it then?
Thank you.
If it's got to be out the way, if it's just a hindrance, then don't do it. But the impression that I get from some of the viewers that say they don't want longer sets, it's like, we just want it over. Just get it over with. We want it out the way.
Why are you watching then?
If you're working with that mentality, you're not going to enjoy it when it's on. Like, you might as well not do it.
Yes.
Yeah, just do 2 out of 3. Come on, just get it over with. Let's get on with the next thing. I've got dinner reservations. I've got to go and see family. Just hurry up and end the stream.
It's like,
don't do it then.
What's the point? You should be enjoying.
Don't do it. Don't have a whatever tour or whatever. If everyone hates it and it's just something that people want over with, then just don't. Bro, after like big tournaments, there's people that want more.
Yes.
They want more Counter-Strike. They just had 7, 8, 9 hours of Counter-Strike. They want more. They're sad when the credits are rolling and the event's over. They've had all day with that game. Just 2 teams playing.
And Ryan,
the same 2 teams playing.
Ryan, it affects us. It affects the professionals more than anyone. Because we are now at a disadvantage. If it's not for us, there is no stream. There is no tournament. Nobody's going to tune in to watch bums playing. I'm sorry. But that's the reality of it. I'm not going to fucking waste a whole day watching bums press buttons. I'm trying to watch the top of the top players teach me something through their game. And if I'm an aspiring fighting game player, I'm going to have my eyes glued on that screen for hours, which is what I did throughout my entire career with Street Fighter.
The problem that we have now is there's not enough platforms that carry new players into that space where they can appreciate what they're seeing. There's not enough of that. There's still too many people that think fighting games are just mashing buttons. There's still too many players that don't respect the grind, how long it takes to get that good. Because at the end of the day, there's not enough visual recognition for the depths of psychology happening in the matches. Yeah. So that's just a problem that we have. That's just part of the
and invitationals have done
fighting games have.
Invitationals have done a great job of addressing that. I think we need more invitationals. Think about it. Konomo Michi, Daigo's thing, right? It's a first to 10.
Konomo Michi, yeah, we need more of that.
Everyone wants to tune into that. Everyone wants to see those things, right? But then when players ask for more things like that, they're like, oh, well, where you're an elitist? God, I fucking hate when people say, well, this is just elitist talk. Like, who do you think we are, bro? We're some like Illuminati member, bro. I'm a fucking grown-ass man. I have a job. I have shit that I got to do. And I'm a follower of Christ. I don't position myself as a higher human being than you because I'm good at a fucking video game. My talents is as a human being. How do I treat other people? And do I do God's work on earth? That is what I'm set out to do. I've just been blessed with the ability to learn how to press some fucking buttons and be good at it. So there is no elitist conversations here. There is professionals that want real discussion and real change. And then there's a bunch of bums who don't care about that. And then there's a group of people that do want to get better, that do want to learn from us. And those are always great, a lot of the fans. But, it's just, I just hate how it's always like, If the pro player says this, then they hate the TOs. They don't give a fuck about sponsors. They don't give a fuck about the audience. No, we want all of that. We just want to tell you guys that there's a reason why you were hype watching Mena versus Angry Bird in grand finals of Evo, because Mena reset it and it was a first to three. There's a reason why you were hype watching Daigo versus Tokido or Infiltration, because Daigo beat him 10-0. Do you understand how difficult it is to beat somebody 10-0? Someone like Infiltration. And then on top of that, Street Fighter League Grand Finals in US was one of the sickest sets I've ever seen, and I was there live witnessing it, and we won because of it. There was so much strategy there from Mena and Angry Bird, and I'm like, this is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But that's because I love this shit. I fuck with this shit. I'm part of this shit. If you're not part of this shit, your heart don't beat for it, then you're not gonna enjoy it. Then what the fuck are you doing?
Exactly. It doesn't matter what they do.
Why am I
Best
getting
of three,
punished?
best of five. You'll always have something to complain about. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I this is what we've put our life into, Ryan. You know, this is our craft, and we are getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And it seems asinine to ask for first to three or first to five. You know. And you know what I think it is, before I let you go, or before you got to get going, Ryan?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is because you would see a huge drop off of top players if it becomes a first to five. You would see a lot of top players not performing because it's a longer set now. And I'm not going to sit here and say that without looking at myself too. I have benefited off of 2 out of 3s, and I've benefited off of first to 3s. Some of these players that I've beaten before, if that shit went on just a little bit longer, I would have been red and I would have lost. So that's just me being 100% honest with myself.
Yeah.
But I still want the longer format, because I believe in merit. The better player, if you can adapt to me, then fuck, man, good games. That's a hand clap. That's a good shake my hand, because you beat me mentally. But you beat me in a 2 out of 3, bro, on some command grabs, on some bullshit, and then you expect me to fucking feel good about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, I feel like that's really important that we mention that, because people need to know that we care about all of this, and it's not fair.
Be more glue that comes in to solidify the different levels of player into one. The beginner, the intermediate, and the advanced need to be closely working together. And at the moment, there's too much segregation. It's like these guys all the way over there on the horizon, and us here on our little dinghy. You know, you got all those guys on that massive ferry up there, thousands and thousands, and there's just a few little guys down here on this little rubber dinghy floating along. You know, and it's just like, we need a way to kind of intertwine all the different groups so that, you know, beginners don't feel alienated against the intermediate guys. The intermediate guys don't feel alienated against the advanced guys. And it's all one nice community. And this is what it needs to become. And to make that happen, we need more avenues, more channels for players to come into their own in whatever level they're playing at. Because obviously not everyone wants to be a pro. Cool.
Right.
But you can still enjoy the game on this level. Even if you're a beginner, there's still more for you. And I think we can be a bit more supportive. I feel like sometimes like the advanced players are so focused on doing what they're doing that, you know, it's easy to kind of forget the little guy, you know, and I'm not saying there's anything necessarily wrong with that, because that's why they're pros.
Sometimes we have a limited time,
laser focused on what they're doing. Right. But I think, you know, maybe on an intermediate level or a content creation level, you know, there's guys that focus more on that. It would be cool to kind of try to integrate the beginners a bit more, so that they feel that there's a space for them to level up, you know, and really feel like they're welcome in this community. Because communities get toxic very easily, don't they? All it takes is one Reddit post.
Yeah, man.
You know, one Reddit post of, this guy did this to me last week, or that guy. And then it's just a whole, you know, like, ensemble of madness, right? And I think we want to avoid that. And we can't have mature discussions when that's going on. You know, that doesn't work. So you need to have alignment so that you can open the door for discussions like, oh, should we do best of 5? Yeah, let's try it this year. You know, TO's on board. Let's try it this year. We'll have more time, you know, or we'll do this portion over here. We'll have 2 streams or whatever the case.
Right.
But just trying to do everything as bare bones as possible, as cheap as possible all the time, it's not a good look. Like,
it's not.
To have quality, you need to spend money. It's just what it is. You can't have everything for free or the cheapest or the quickest or the, it's got to
Quality
be.
doesn't come from quick. Quality comes from patience and
Yeah,
time.
exactly. And I don't like this feeling like we're rushing through everything. It's got to be over as quickly as possible so everyone can leave and go and do what they really care about. I
Yeah.
don't like this mentality. It's
Yeah.
not nice.
Wouldn't it be nice, Ryan, if like we go to a tournament and it's like, at 8 a.m. I have to play against Ryan Hart. Okay, it's a first to five. After that first to five, let's say I win. Now my next opponent is at 9:30 a.m. All right. Now that gives me a little bit of time to prepare for my next first to five. And now my next opponent is at 1 p.m. Like, wouldn't that be so? This is literally, it's so, you can actually dissect things so much better and provide a more quality product on stream. But, I could talk to you about this and some of the other stuff that I have written down for hours and hours, which is why I would love for you to come back.
Yeah, but I mean, then you kill the open tournament platform because you can't have.
Oh, I'm not saying get that. Yeah. I'm not saying get rid of
7,000 signups with but we do need exhibitions and invitationals.
Correct.
And
that's what I'm saying. I don't mind the open tournaments. Have the open tournaments. Have those open tournaments. Those are good, especially for the newcomers. But we also need a more structured tournament type thing
for pro players.
For pro players. And then
I think at a certain level it should escalate into that. I think after the open tournaments where everyone qualifies for Capcom Cup and so on, it should evolve into we do this first to five Capcom Cup thing.
Yes.
The Capcom Cup thing shouldn't be just
2 out of 3.
It shouldn't be just an extension of a regular tournament.
Right.
It should be something that's a bit more grand and a bit more spaced out and, really allows the psychology to come through. Even have players talking about the psychology, like, and this is why this worked because da-da-da. And in a first to five, you would see a lot more personal expression. That's one thing we haven't covered. Personal expression is what got me into fighting games.
Oh, man.
I couldn't care less that it's a fight. I had no interest that it's two guys fighting. I don't care about that. Personal expression that you come through with your exquisite taste, your flavor, your flamboyance coming through. Why is your Ken unique? Why is your Ken different to Ryan's Ken, different to Mamochi's Ken, different to Spellmaster J's Ken, different to Kuroda's Ken? Like, what is the difference? And so when you have more space to express yourself, you start to see the differences.
Yes.
You do. Even in games where you think that the styles might be really similar, you start to see the differences and you see the unique little quirky things that a player does, the little tweaks.
Absolutely.
Like, that was really cool. I didn't think of that option here. That was really smart,
Yes.
And just you start to open the game up for appreciation from all sides. The beginners, intermediates, and the pros are like, that was sick. Everyone's
100%,
involved now.
100%.
2 out of 3, it's just a big washing machine of a match and then it's over and that's it.
Yeah.
It's just you didn't really get anything. It's just a big mishmash for 2 games and
It doesn't determine.
So, I agree with you. We need to have a longevity-based final format for pros to really showcase the skill to the world.
Yeah, man, that was amazing. That was amazing.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel about it. But anyway, I gotta go.
Yes,
I'll get back to bed,
Ryan,
and then get up in a few hours for work and some stuff. So
absolutely.
But
Ryan,
that was really cool. I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan.
That was
for
okay
being
for
here.
you.
No, that was perfect, man. I felt like we had a great discussion, and I definitely want you back to continue this discussion because it was very insightful, and I'm sure. I mean, you helped me think about a lot of things in a different perspective now, and I'm sure everyone that is listening has gained a lot of knowledge from this as well. So I really appreciate you for being on here, man. We'll talk over Messenger and then try to plan out the next date that you could come on. But this was so sick, man. I really appreciate you waking up early for this.
Yeah, no worries.
And you have a blessed day, bro. You have a blessed day.
Take care, everyone. Thanks for listening. Yes. And take care, Chris, man.
My
Good
brother.
luck with the rest of the podcast.
Thank you, brother.
I'll see you later.
Okay, bye-bye. All right. Man, wasn't that amazing? Wasn't that such an insightful conversation between 2 players who strive to be a better player? Even now, with all these championships and the setting records, Ryan is still in pursuit of being a better version of himself. And that's what you ultimately want as a player and as a human being. But that's going to do it for today's episode. I really appreciate all of you guys tuning in to the first episode of Talking with T. Shout outs to Ryan Hart. Also, guys, if you haven't checked out some of the content creators out there, Brian F has been putting out a lot of great content for newer players. Justin always puts out good content. Gustavo 801 Strider puts out good content. The Bird Brothers put out good content. Support the FGC, the Street Fighter community, with the content creation. Subscribe to their YouTubes. Support Yipes' podcast as well, and other podcasts that might be out there that I'm unaware of. But I really appreciate you guys for being in here, and leave a comment if there's specific things that you would like for me to discuss. If there's a specific guest that you would like for me to have, and I plan on having a lot more guests, then leave it in the comment section, and make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a blessed night.
Take this!